Hi everyone, this is my pool plan video in DFFOO Global, and in this video I'll be covering my plans for the upcoming arc where Kam'lanaut will be featured as a synergy unit. As always, you can also refer to the cropped infographic on the left hand side, which was derived originally from Jakematt's global forecast to see which events these were. I'll also include a link to the full forecast in the video description so you can check that out as well. If you are new to my pool plans video, just a quick disclaimer that the whole purpose of the video is really just sharing my plans and the reasons and thought process behind how I make my decisions whether to pool or skip. It is a plan that is best suited to my preference and playstyle, and by no means should it be considered the optimal way to play the game, because I firmly believe that there is no one optimal way to play the game. A lot of it really depends on the general approach that you like to take. Because of that also, I'll try to focus more on the actual thought process and reasons rather than the decision itself. I will not be covering all characters because at this stage of the game, every character on the banner will receive LD as well. Rather, I will focus on key characters in the banner that I am specifically going after. As a general recommendation, I always recommend everyone to also do your own research so that you can make the best informed decision whether or not a character is suitable for you. Before starting Kam'lanaut's arc, just a quick tally about how I did on the first arc in the Shinryu era, which is Kain's FRBT arc. I went in pretty hard on the Kain event because I really wanted to max out Kain right on the very first Shinryu stage itself. I must say I actually got pretty lucky because on the 2 free multis that we got, I actually scored 2 Kain FRs, and then after that I actually went in with tickets because I was also hoping to get more FR duplicates as well as Kain's burst weapon together with it. I actually got the 3rd FR in the first 10 ticket draw. Unfortunately, my 4th FR took me the remaining 570 tickets, so in total I spent 580 tickets to get 4 copies of Kain's FR, which I actually think is still a pretty good result overall because it allows me to save on the high power stones. Unfortunately, by the end of the pool, I still did not get Kain's burst weapon, so I had to use 50 burst tokens to token his BT. I skipped the banner with the Warrior of Light burst. I don't have that burst weapon, but I don't really have any interest in Warrior of Light's burst. Next up, the second event is Kral's Intersecting Wheels, and that event is an easy skip for me. I already have all of Kral's weapon, save of course for her FR weapon, and I don't really think that I wanted that weapon in the first place, so I did just complete the stage without it, including the ticket mission as well. Coming to Braska's event, I actually went in with tickets for Braska because I actually was kept on my hunt tokens, and there were a bunch of tickets that were about to expire in my inbox as well. So I actually went in hoping to get just Braska's EX and LD is actually good enough for me, and very nicely within 80 tickets I actually netted Braska's EX and LD. I actually pulled on the banner where Jacked BT was the featured burst since I already have Kain's burst weapon, and at the end of it I still did not get Jack's BT, but I guess that's fine. So overall, I think I went a little bit heavier on the ticket side with a total of 660 tickets total, but in the end it's a pretty good result because I saved on all the other resources, especially high power stones and force shots. By the end of this, I only force level Kain to level 30 and force level Penelo to level 13, and the rest of the characters when I force level, I only kept them at level 10 to save on the leveling materials. So coming to Kam'lanaut's event, the first event on this arc is actually the Global's first 6-man event, not counting the beta event that we recently got. The key unit here, and this is a unit that a lot of people, myself included, is waiting for, is Kam'lanaut. Kam'lanaut of course did get massive rework and update to his kit, on top of his damage overall being bumped up in line with the current meta. Some notable changes including that his classification now actually paralyzes all enemies instead of one enemy. Kam'lanaut will also receive a new FR weapon, and his FR weapon is extremely good, but it does require Ice Elemental Enchant to the party or your other party members being capable of doing Ice Elemental attacks. For starters, if you do an Ice attack, you will plus 20% during the FR time. The big thing about his kit also is that if you damage an enemy that has a disable debuff, you also plus 20%, and this actually even includes launch. So for example, if you have enemies that are disabled and you do an ice attack that leads to a full launch, you actually get 20% for the ice attack and then 20% each for each character that participated in the launch. So if just a full launch with 3 characters, you actually get 20 plus 60% for a whopping total of 80% boost to the damage in FR time. And this is one of the reasons why Kam'lanaut FR is widely regarded as a very good FR to go after. His BT weapon is also pretty good, I have to say. Firstly, it gives you quite a lot of relevant boosts to offensive stats that your main damage dealer can take use of, especially an increase in Brave and HP damage caps. The key addition that his BT aura provides is that anytime any party member attacks an enemy while his BT aura is up, you also land a 1-turn framed disable on all enemies, and this helps you to maintain the, or I should say easily maintain the plus 20% during Kam'lanaut's force time. So my plans here is actually pretty similar to what I did for Kain upon the debut of Kain's FR. I will be going in pretty hard for Kam'lanaut's FR and BT. I actually want to use gems, however I'm still at the problem where my tickets are at cap 999 and I need to use some tickets in order to redeem some from the co-op shop as well as the hunt shop. So I'll be using a bunch of tickets to start with on this banner, hoping to get Kam'lanaut's FR and BT, but if I have to, I will use gems to try and get his FR and BT, and if I happen to get 4 FRs duplicates before the BT, then I may even just use BT tokens to redeem the burst weapon right on this stage. The second event on this arc will be Desch intersecting wheels, and this time I think from here on going forward you usually will get 2 banners per event, because the second banner will feature a new BT weapon for the secondary character on the banner. In this case will be Machina. This is an easier decision for me. I will likely just skip these 2 banners altogether. To me, the main prize here is actually Machina, and if you've been following my runs, you know that I'm a big fan of Machina. I've used Machina for almost the entire Lufenia Plus era in so-called Machina Blitz run, and I'm very happy to see that on this event, Machina will also get finally his C90 upgrade and a slight rework to boost his damage as well. Some notable buffs that Machina gets is that he now actually begins battle with his LD buff up, and importantly a full EX meter. With his C90 upgrade, Machina's EX damage is also upgraded, plus the counter that he gets from his EX ability now actually deals HP damage, where before it was only a Brave damage counter. Importantly, Spiral Linchpin, which is his trademark full-up attack, is actually now 2 HP dumps as opposed to 1, and this significantly boosts his damage as well. I'm very happy that Machina got his upgrade because I can finally give him an ultimate weapon, and I'm very excited to see how he will perform in the Shinryu era with all these upgrades. Coming to Desch, Desch of course gets relevant upgrades as well, and Desch is I guess one of the party Thunder Enchanters and Paralyzed Inflictors. He also has the ability to greatly reduce incoming either physical or magic damage. So overall, Desch is a pretty interesting utility character. When it comes to his FR, when you do Thunder Brave damage, you will plus 20% the bonus damage in force time, so that part is a little bit similar to Kral's FR. Desch also has a very interesting plus 30% when the enemy takes a turn and is actually disabled on its turn. I have to say that just reading this, I think his FR has the potential actually to have greatly increased force time bonus damage depending on the stage and how you make use of it. You really have to try to capitalize on giving the enemies turns while his force time is up and making the enemies disabled so that you can get the whopping plus 30% bonus to force time damage. Unfortunately though, I think this also makes his force time effect a little bit more situational than other characters because it's a little bit more difficult to actually position turns to try and capitalize on damage that way. Say for example versus other force time effects where all you have to do is actually just attack the enemy to increase the force time bonus damage meter. One thing to note though is that using his force attack actually paralyzes all enemies for 2 turns as well, so that actually helps to line up the plus 30% damage. Personally though, if I'm going to use a force time ability, I would rather just use one that's easier to fulfill the conditionals rather than having one like this where I really have to try to line up enemy turns and make sure that they are disabled. The third and final event on this arc will be a raid event featuring Tidus, FR and BT. Tidus, I know, is also a character that quite a few people is hoping to get. Tidus FR is actually pretty decent, but beyond that, his upgrade and burst actually synergizes very well with Kam'lanaut's FR as well. So if you already pulled for Kam'lanaut and you want a good DPS unit to capitalize together with Kam'lanaut's FR, then Tidus is a great option. As far as Tidus goes, some notable changes he will receive is that his shoot ability follow-up attack is now 2 HP dumps. His special jack shot follow-up is still 3 HP dumps, which I believe is the same as it was previously. However, it does have much higher damage potency than it has before, and this helps to further solidify his damage. Notably also, both his S1 and S2 are now going to be 2 HP dumps in total, so when you combine that with his follow-up attack, which you should be getting every turn, it actually turns him into a pretty good damage dealer. For his force time effect, anytime you attack an enemy that has debuffs, you will plus 15%, and that's a really easy condition to meet given that Tidus himself can inflict debuffs. Beyond that, anytime you have an instant turn ability, and it has to be an ability that is actually instant turn, if you take consecutive turns, say for example in burst mode, that will not count. But if you have an instant turn ability, you will plus 30% as well. And this stacks very nicely with Tidus' kit because he does have instant turn from his quick hit. Tidus' FR itself is also an instant turn attack, which is similar to Kain. For me though, I plan on really using Machina combined with Kam'lanaut as my main source of damage. So to me, Tidus is a secondary priority to that. I am still quite interested in Tidus' kit, I have to say, but my plans for Tidus is probably only going in with tickets. The main problem I have is that I still don't have Tidus burst at this stage, and unfortunately if I have to use my burst tokens on Kam'lanaut, it would mean that I will have no more burst tokens for Tidus, and I really don't want to spend gems to PT a burst weapon due to the huge amount of investment it is. So to me, it really depends on how I did on the previous banners on this arc. If I still have burst tokens available, then I may just go in for Tidus and token his burst, but if not, then maybe I might just spend tickets to score Tidus FR. Okay, coming to this part of the video, here I will sort of cover characters that I think are great options if you have limited resources and you cannot pull or build some or all of the characters on the arc. From here on, something that I'll be doing different is that I'm actually reducing the number of categories. I used to have 3 categories, with the third category being consolation prize. This time, however, like I said earlier, due to having many characters on the banner who will receive LD weapons, I don't want to include all the characters on this slide, otherwise it will be a very busy slide and it will take too long to go through. So one format that I've changed here is that I'll be covering just the first two categories. So the characters who I call as good value, and these are generally characters who will provide you good value regardless of who else you've already built on your roster, just because of how viable or strong their kit is. The second category are characters who I think deserve at least special mention because they do have some uses, and depending on who else you've already built in your roster, you may find that their role can add a lot of value as well, especially if you're missing similar role characters. So firstly, on a good value character, I think it's really no question Kam'lanaut is a great pickup, given that firstly we are early in the Shinryu era and we really want and need strong FR, and Kam'lanaut really fits that bill. This is also especially true if you have the Kurasame LD call, because that call will then enchant your entire party with ice. As for the other good value characters, I put Tidus and Machina here as well, but having said that, I don't actually think you need to have both, because very rarely you actually want to use both together in the same party, and in my opinion, having just one of the two, whichever one you would prefer using more, is actually really I think good enough, because most of the time you would pair this character with Kam'lanaut, and your third party member in the fight will probably be some sort of strong support or FR charger character. One example here would be Garnet as a strong support, or maybe someone like Penelo or Ignis as an FR charger. For me, the character between the two that I would prefer here would be Machina, but that's really just personal preference. Coming to the second category, which is role fulfillment, the two characters that I want to mention here, firstly would be Paladin Cecil. Paladin Cecil used to be the most meta support way back in the day, because he provides massive boosts to brave damage done. He still can fulfill the role of a great support character because he actually provides quite a lot of different offensive boosts just by standing there. On top of that, he can also heal the entire party, and he can actually also provide the entire party with Holy Enchant as well. So if you are fairly new to the game and if you missed out on great support characters, then Paladin Cecil is actually quite a good pickup. Desch, like I said, has quite a lot of utility in his kit, and he also has the value of having Thunder Enchant if he's in the main party. Overall, all utility considered, I think Desch is actually quite a decent pickup, and the fact that he also will have access to an FR this early, I think also goes into his favor. So if you for some reason really want another FR character with good utility that can disable or protect your party by mitigating incoming damage, then maybe you can also consider Desch. As far as all the other characters that come during this arc, the reason why I don't really mention them here is, in my opinion, I think that a lot of them are really outclassed by the other characters that I mentioned on this slide. One good example I can give is actually Palom. Palom will actually be featured alongside Kam'lanaut, and Palom himself, I actually have to say, is quite a solid damage dealer, and very importantly, he does have the ice elemental to his attacks as well, so he actually goes very well with Kam'lanaut if you do not actually have any other way to enchant the party with ice. However, on this arc, we also would have access to Tidus and Machina as damage dealers, and I really think that both of them are, I guess, stronger damage dealers compared to Palom. Maybe not in sense of pure damage done, but I think in terms of being more reliable in outputting said damage due to how their kit works. I would really think that, if you need a damage dealer, why not just go for one of these two, and get a lot of bang out of your buck. And if you are getting one of these two, in all likelihood you would probably be using them rather than Palom in the first place. which is why I did not mention him here, and the other characters also for the same reasons. So that's it for this video. In summary, my plan is to use tickets and maybe even gems for Kam'lanaut's FR and BT. I will even token Kam'lanaut's burst weapon if I need to. I plan to skip Desch banners during his intersecting wheels. I will probably use tickets for Tidus FR and hopefully hope to luck out on a burst weapon along the way, but I may not go all in for Tidus in the same way that I will go for Kam'lanaut. If I saved my burst tokens on Kam'lanaut, then I may use them in Tidus event. As always, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!